Hi, I'm Jesse Parent from Orthogonal Research and Education Lab.
And I'm Jiang from Orthogonal Research and Education Lab.
So to close out the talk for today, we'll talk briefly about OpenAI versus DAIR, or Distributed AI Research Institute with Timney Jabroon, kind of competing takes on how to do AI development in today's world. We'll talk about federal mandates on data sharing, and also a bit about data accessibility and DEI and tech ethics. So, in the interest of time, we're going to be very brief about this part simply because, one, everything is moving quite fast in terms of the actual releases, and two, we just really want to give an overview and say, here are some things to keep in mind about OpenAI. We wanted to mention it was originally a nonprofit, it's transitioned towards being a profit. CEO Sam Altman has been saying it will need more capital than any nonprofit has ever raised. There's been a multi-billion-dollar investment from Microsoft. Microsoft is trying to use GPT technologies to improve its own products, competing with Google and the like. We've actually talked quite a bit about Timney Jabroon in the past here at NYCWiC, previous conferences. We've been following her transition since leaving the Google Ethics Board, making the Stochastic Parrots paper, founding her own research institute that's been much more community oriented and focusing on building AI without necessarily the same constraints and influences that big tech might have. We strongly recommend checking out their Stochastic Parrots Day, which is kind of a retrospective on the past 2 or 3 years of their development and story. Very good ideas and things to keep in mind there, including a special emphasis on the worker exploitation around many of the big data and big tech practices. We also briefly wanted to mention the somewhat famous or infamous letter to pause AI experiments, or at least massive deployments of them, on systems greater than GTP4, which has been an open letter with many signatures, and a reply from DAIR, which has many useful critiques about the letter and about um, the industry in general. One of the key things we really wanted to focus on at the end of this talk are about large-scale federal mandates on data sharing and data management. Last November at Society for Neuroscience 2022, Marianne Martone, who has a long history in the fair and accessible data arena, gave a really great talk on these forthcoming policies and their history. One line she said during the talk that I think is particularly relevant to our audience is that grad students will be on the front lines of these changes. The deadline for this massive federal change has actually already happened, January 25th of this year. And while not everyone here may go into computation or technology related to healthcare or biology, neuroscience, etc., it's important to realize that there's significant federal high-level inertia towards data management and data sharing practices.
So, for more on the background of these policies, a memo from the Office of Science and Technology Policy was released declaring a need to ensure free, immediate, and equitable access to federally funded research. It involved setting the expectation for openness and access, data sharing, and emphasizing the FAIR policies. What is FAIR? FAIR data means findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable.
So, beyond data management, there's also concepts around fair partnership, or how researchers, repositories, and databases they're making, indexers, and the community in general relates to each other. As a small plug for a research project we have going on, inspired through Google Summer of Code efforts and someone in our internship program who was here last year but couldn't make it this year, Brian McCorkle's led a really great effort about sustainability auditing tool and the sustainable open source ethics in communities that's tied into these fair partnership practices. So check that out if you're interested. One of the key technical goals for this sort of effort is being able to go beyond meta-analysis, trying to actually have more reusable raw data. This concept of mega-analysis, or at least being able to go beyond cryptic records of vague inferential data analysis or abbreviated reports into very explicitly documented and stored and managed data that can really lead to reproducibility. So zooming back out for a little bit, again, we'll mention the open by default, open by design principle that all data must be managed and most should be shared that it should be fair, and that grad students or those going into workforce managing data will have to be aware of these things. To say a little bit more about the history of these policies, I'll hand it over to Jen.
STRIDE stands for Science and Technology Research Infrastructure for Discovery, Experimentation, and Sustainability, and has served as the precursor to a new data management strategy. In 2003, STRIDES established to increase data accessibility within the NIH. In 2017, STRIDES partnered with Amazon and Google, and now in 2023, we are coming from the STRIDES initiative to the new DMS policy in order to have a more rigorous policy. The NIH hopes that this new data management strategy, or the DMS, will allow for higher quality research output in terms of accelerating research, data integrity, and enhancing collaboration. One case study of note is the National Center for Advancing Translational Sciences. Its data sharing and management practices has already made an impact on those dealing with complications from COVID-19. A unified, accessible, cloud-based database, particularly for long COVID, significantly enhances collaborations on outcomes, predictions, and solutions. With enhanced collaboration comes greater diversity and more robust solutions. Diversity matters in terms of who is contributing to research, no matter their experience level, demographics, and resources. Access to healthcare is based on federal and state policy, as well as the number of solutions available. The more the research community can create non-homogeneous solutions, the more equitable access to healthcare will be available to all. One more thing we'd like to mention, we are working on a forthcoming paper that we've submitted to We Robot 2023. Beyond Ethics Washing, a review of tech ethics boards and DEI initiatives.
That's right, and I'm really excited about this project. We're going to be developing it over the summer and the fall, hoping to follow up on our We Robot 2022 posters that we got submitted. It should be a lot of fun and a lot of cool stuff going on there. But yeah, please reach out to all of us with questions. Thanks again to Bradley, Valeria, Ankit, and Jen for leading this charge. Thanks to Ryan, who couldn't be here but has done so much for the ethics team over the last year. And thanks to everyone else in our lab too. We're really a great group of people, and I'm proud to be a part of this. And I'm just the spokesperson for a lot of amazing people doing great stuff here. Please reach out to me, Jesse at jopro.org. We do have some summer and fall interns research opportunities open. And thanks for your attention. Take care, everybody.